Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Chizzy Senior School for the 2026 staging of the Golden and Silver Girls Hockey Tournament. We're up back into Pool A, as in the yellow strip are Wysall. They take on Hellenic in our penultimate encounter of day 2. It's been a phenomenal weekend of hockey action. Also falls within the anniversary of that gold medal Zimbabwean winning team in Moscow. Nonetheless, Hellenic starting really well early on. Unfortunately for them, that first sort of opportunity created doesn't quite go their way. They do manage, however, to wrestle back possession and look to crack on that attack. That was Drake, who's had a number of years within this first 11 group, and stepping up to the fore is Skip Up. Heartbreak last year for her in the cup final out at Peterhouse. Unfortunately going down to this year's hosts, Chizzy. At the moment, Hellenic holding on to a decent amount of possession, and Wysall, with the little they've had, unfortunately haven't been clinical enough to, create genuine attacking situations. And Hellenic doing well to get away from her marker, but brought back Joaquini. Jeez, Honey out down that line, and Wysall defending very, very well. And that is Moyo, who manages to get them out of trouble only for a moment. But as that skipper Drake is back in possession and looking to work her way up into the circle, set that up to Taya Gray. Unfortunately, though, judged to have found the back of a stick in that attempt to make that circle penetration, and Wysall with yet another opportunity with possession to get themselves out of there. Looking down that line, a good little first touch, and manages to get away from her first defender, showing a clean pair of heels, and they will get advantage going forward. Wysall, just the kind of moment they needed to spark their attempt in this encounter. So first real attacking opportunity going the way of Wysall. Just looking to draw out a couple of those Hellenic defenders as they go to the back and spreading that out to the right-hand side. Unfortunately, can't get around Joaquini, who intercepts that and is up on a run. Heads back infield and looking to find her mate in the circle. A golden opportunity here for the Hellenic side. They're under advantage in the short corner. Goes the way of Hellenic, the first one. And Rousseau working well in tandem to create that opportunity for this Hellenic side. Honey to inject. They'll be wanting to fire their warning shots early on here, this Hellenic outfit. Spread and taken back onto that left-hand side off a foot. Still under more advantage. They will have yet another crack. No, they won't. Unfortunately, Rousseau unable to make much of that attempt. For Wysall, this will be desperate times for them in just getting themselves into this encounter as we have a re-look at that short corner and where it went wrong. Nice little variation, slipping that back, and Latsas bonus, unfortunately, just couldn't get that attempt where he should have wanted, as Joaquini getting a touch onto it. However, Wysall great, just weighing out her options. She doesn't have too many defenders around her, could look to do the meters alone. She's done exactly that into the circle, however, only finding a Wysall stick, who again are under the pump. Wysall not getting too much of a press earlier on, as now that circle entry unfortunately doesn't quite go the way of Hellenic, and now Wysall through Mutenda. back into the circle, possibly their fourth visit into the circle for Hellenic. And Wiesel, unfortunately for them, just when they thought they'd have gotten a nice attacking opportunity, Mutenda couldn't keep that away from her feet, and that'll go long. Dream start really for Hellenic. They've just had Wiesel on the back foot the entire time, holding on to most of the possession and really allowing themselves to slowly work themselves into this one, as Honey in with yet another circle entry. And Wiesel, I think for them, they just want to slow things down a little bit. Seem a little bit rattled at the moment, even when they have been the side in possession. And that just runs away. As I said, that Hundo unable to hold on to it for long enough. But again, it just feels a bit rash, the effort from Wiesel. I guess it is hard to be calm and back your systems when you're in a pup as much as this Wiesel side have been. Hellenic, Latsis bonus, unfortunately, couldn't hold on to it either. So kind of two different tales for either side. Wiesel at the moment seems objective survive for Hellenic. They've had opportunities that they haven't used. Well, they're going to rue those opportunities in the latter stages of this encounter. And we'll look to pour those numbers up the park as Hellenic ring the first couple of changes in this encounter. And yet again, with that set piece opportunity given to them, they almost instantly return possession to this Hellenic side, as looking to get themselves out of there. However, Wiesel finally playing on the right end. Picked up very well. Now it looks like Taya Gray on a barnstorming run down the middle of the park and into the trams, looking at that pocket option, creating a great opportunity for Hellenic. She needs to have let that go a little bit earlier, and she had a lady in that circle making a good run and a possible goal scoring opportunity that wasn't utilized by this Hellenic outfit. So Hellenic just weighing out options. Straight into the circle, and unfortunately just can't get onto it. Villian just didn't quite read that pass, and that brilliant chance goes a begging. Wiesel threw my chuck up, looking out to her left-hand side. They've worked quite well on that left-hand wing. That lady just unidentified at the moment. We'll have her name shortly, but she's been quite the menace for the Hellenic defensive outfit on that line. And carrying on that attack, a brilliant little run, but holding on to it a little too long. Both sides at the moment being found guilty of exactly that. And now Hellenic looking to open things up, but unfortunately a wayward pass doesn't quite meet anyone. And crack down the line, a beautiful ball up the park. Yet again, needing to lay it off, but sends it straight into defender. Still has an opportunity. Can they finish it off? Well, they get the short corner, however. Ntini would have had her eyes lit up, really, at that opportunity just to keep it to have beaten. But the umpire deciding to give them their short corner. Not their first attempt for Hellenic. Went with that slip variation earlier. Interesting to see what they work around on this occasion, keeping it nice and simple. And no real rush having come up as Viljoen has a crack. Unfortunately, only finding a Wiesel defender. And it goes long. However, from the Hellenic side, just re-looking at that short corner, they had multiple opportunities to have had a crack at goal. Didn't quite decide to do that, as we see there. And eventually the Wiesel defences did come up after quite a while. Nonetheless, after the first quarter, we're goalless in this Pool A encounter. Catch you for the second. So back here, ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves at Chizzy Senior School for the 2026 stage of the Gold and Silver Girls, hosted here at Chizzy Senior School. It is Pool A and our penultimate Day 2 encounter, with a full day still to come your way tomorrow as things continue to hot up here. Hellenic in the blue taking on Wiesel. After that first quarter, goalless. Hellenic creating the lines here of the possession and opportunities in this one. And looking at a short corner, brilliantly worked move by Jones. Creating that opportunity for his side, and Muscle showing his skill there. Hellenic haven't been quite as successful as they'd have liked at the set piece. The second quarter, well, what will it bring? Change of fortunes. For Wiesel, they'll be hoping it kind of stays the same eventually, having a crack. And that's what we were calling for after their last attempt, where it just came a little too late. And Tini's attempt, unfortunately, goes wide, and we still remain deadlocked here. Hellenic back on the attack. That looks like Joaquini, and into the circle. However, Wiesel yet again defending with everything they've got. They just can't avoid that ball finding their feet. Must be a ball magnet within those Wiesel boots. For Hellenic, this could really get frustrating, as they haven't been able to convert after multiple attempts. Hoping that's their voodoo break curse, and unfortunately it isn't the case early on, as Viljoen has a shot but too tame for my liking, I would say. And Wiesel yet again get away with it. Just got to get the basics right. Been injected well. However, just getting that shot away, as now into the circle. Yet again trying to almost push it, as Joaquini's attempt is easily thwarted away. I'd like to see them have a full-blown crack at goal. Have the defences terrified of, allowing any opportunities for you to get anything away. At the moment, it hasn't been quite the case. They haven't really looked to crack it in goal. Joaquini looking at a tomahawk attempt, and tell you what, unfortunately, that goal will not stand, it seems. Or it has, just after a bit of consultation, a bit of a conversation between the umpires. The goal is confirmed. Hellenic go 1-0 up. As we just have a look at that replay. No goal. Hit out. It says Mr. Umpire, so I do beg your pardon. Still goalless. So we just looked at that replay. And now Wise Owl in their own half, however, bullied off of possession almost instantly as Joaquini. So things to work on for Hellenic, just finding each other as Villian manages to get a stick onto it. Unfortunately, not quite the clinical enough touch. Hellenic back on attack, and Wiesel forced into some more defensive work. This encounter has really just been a Hellenic attack session, if you may call it that. Wiesel just haven't seemed to have settled at all, as Gray looks to carry a shot on, but taken off his stick moments before she cracked it. As we see Nicole Grant running even more changes now. David Yehunda, team manager, you can hear him in the background there, I think, saying you're on top. We just now need to capitalize, and it's been what I've been crying for in commentary. So himself, a former Hellenic first 11 player, now applying his trade within the dugout. Doctor on the move as well. Nonetheless, Hellenic back on a beautiful ball up, but just had a little too much vuss on it. A little too much to handle. Joaquini looking to that left-hand side. Villian yet again looking to get that away. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite do that. Nyabad's up for Wiesel, doing a phenomenal job and carrying on that attack for Wiesel. Brilliant ball spread out. I'd like to see them use that pace on that left-hand side, and they've done exactly that as she continues to cause problems all afternoon for this Hellenic defensive outfit. Just now needs to lay it off almost into the circle, and now turned on over, but what a run, and just showing you what this Wiesel side are capable of, really. Beyond capable. It's just about them settling into it. And a showing of skill and speed by Ngariva for Wiesel. I beg your pardon, that is Moyo. But however, turned on over. And it'll be Wiesel ball going forward. Moyo in possession, weighing out our options. I'd also like to see them pour a couple of numbers up the park. I mean, just look down that line on the opposite end. There's absolutely no one for Wiesel, forced to go backwards now. Intercepted, however, not met as well by the Hellenic outfit. for all the possession and all the attacking ball they've had, all the opportunities created. Going into this break, Hellenic, they'll be not so chuffed with the final efforts up the park as they find themselves still without a goal for all their efforts going up the park. For Izal, I guess, chat will be just hold on. Keep frustrating them. I mean, create a moment of brilliance like we did see a little earlier on. Looking to go alone. She did have a mate screaming for it. Lattice bonus. And then now intercepted. Joaquini yet again stepping up to the 4-4 Hellenic. Laying that on a tee for Jones. And a short corner goes the way of Hellenic yet again. Jones responsible for 2 of those. A little rocket in that Hellenic side. And has produced the goods so far this afternoon. She's injected quite well. It's just been the other attempt. Wysall haven't been really good with that rush up. I'd like to see Hellenic just trap that well, and yet again they fluffed their attempt. Getting yet another opportunity, but boy oh boy, Lady Luck certainly not in blue this afternoon. For Wysall, just get out of that area. Unfortunately, no one to gather that piece of possession for them. As Hellenic will get yet another attacking opportunity. It's kind of starting to sound like a broken record with just a repetition. As we get ourselves to the halfway break, ladies and gentlemen, day 2 action. And Pool A as Wysall take on Hellenic. Wysall just haven't gotten going really. And for Hellenic, a bit of a frustrating affair thus far. Goalless at the break. We'll catch you for the second bit. What a rubbish. So back up for the third quarter as Hellenic take on Wise All. Still goalless for either side. Just far too many opportunities having gone the way of Hellenic, and they just haven't been able to create anything tangible. As now Wise All, this is the kind of moment I spoke about earlier, needing to lay it off. But it's opportunities like that that'll get them ahead. Wise All, they haven't really settled in this one. However, they are full of skill, full of speed. Just getting called back by the umpires. As Honey gathers and looks to weigh out her options. However, Wise All straight back in possession, and now getting past the first defender. Not the cleanest of ball. Oh, clinical moment that would have been. Wise All had more attackers. And a bit of a hash in that circle, and nothing quite comes of it. But yet again, it's kind of the same way that first half did go, where they just didn't put them away, and you fear for this Hellenic outfit for all their efforts. And they possibly could leave this one without anything, or will this be the moment it isn't? Plugged very well by the defensive outfit. Finally a shot on. And taken away yet again. And that'll be the first short corner, and this the second half. This the third quarter. Just don't know what Hellenic have to do to be more clinical at these set pieces. It's just got to be extremely simple, I feel. Kind of past that stage where you say it's early on in the game, so, you know, you'll get another crack. They're kind of getting into that stage now where the expectation should be that you have to convert. You have to be clinical, and they will get yet another crack. Yet another crack, and finding only a couple of defenders and still looking at making anything or getting anything, taking anything at all out of these opportunities. Looking to work down that line, getting past the first defender. Both sides have also been extremely guilty of not having anyone within that pocket kind of channel. I feel that would be an incredible weapon, especially noting the speed Wise All do have on the outsides. Hellenic working down the line, and now intercepted by this Wise All unit, and just instantly getting possession back yet again. Kind of a ping pong affair at the moment. Oh, had that little piece of skill worked, would have been a great moment towards their cause. Wise All, I think up until now they've done their job. They've frustrated Hellenic enough for them Spreading it out down that pocket. Unfortunately, no real control through that. She did look to her full stick. And that runs away. Hasn't been convincing, quite honestly, this Hellenic attack for as much possession as they have had. You know, you're then only entirely satisfied by goals. Hellenic continuing that attack with more go forward ball. They've almost virtually got no one within their own half, Hellenic, and that could maybe be the approach that they do need to, you know, ensure that they do have something to show after this quarter, as that's Joaquini all up in that chaos. And tell you what, with that, Hellenic manage the first goal in this encounter. They go 1-0 up. Now after a full-on battle, many bodies in that circle, and they finally have something to show for their efforts. For Wisal, heartbreak. Not too far away, I think 2 minutes and 30 remaining in this quarter. Could that be the moment that either opens the floodgates and Hellenic finally get something back for all of their efforts so far? For Wisal, do they fall, or instead get themselves back up and look to take on this Hellenic outfit and get a goal of their own to get us back to level peggings? Yep. Setting that out, looking to draw a couple of those Wisal defenders for Hellenic. And that looks like Villian. Into the circle is Gray. She has a crack, but met very well by a foot. Those Magnets still doing the same job they did initially in that second quarter, when that penalty corner count rather, continued to just rise and rise. Thank you so much for joining us, talking about Rising on Rising Stars Media, bringing you this top level action. Short corner time for the Hellenic side. They haven't converted from one as they crack it, and unfortunately rises. And still under the pump, and yet another short corner. So, can Hellenic take a 2-0 lead into that final break? Jones with a crack and into the net. Thwarted away. A phenomenal attempt on that right-hand post by the Hellenic unit. Seeming to have come alive in this, the third quarter, managing 2 goals. As we go into the final break, Hellenic finally, for all their hard work, 2-0 up into our final quarters break. Because they lost to Energy.
They level on points with Wilder. And that, it would then mean they play Falcon.
In our final quarter, and it's also opened up this pool as it works out well for the home side, this result. It is the result they did need, Chizzy, and their aspirations of defending their title equation is now a lot simpler for them, needing a win against Gateway in this next encounter coming up. For a favourable draw in tomorrow's semi-final action. Wiseout looking to run it out of that area. She'd have rather looked for a couple of mates. They do, however, get possession back through an advantage. And now running across the park, they need a runner making her way up the park. However, Villiers manages to nick that off and picking up the scraps off of that one. Wiseout getting around a defender. No one in the circle, however. And you've just got to question in how all the goals come as she manages to earn her side a short corner, but was almost left to her own devices. As we look at that replay, literally no one in the circle as she made that run. You would want to see a bit more fight, a bit more heart, a bit more hunger from the Talons outfit. They have shown that approach, and in dribs and drabs as that short corner attempt, she cracks it, finding a Hellenic foot, so they will get yet another crack. And these are short corners I'm a big fan of. Not really faffing around, especially when you are chasing this game. Doing the same, and unfortunately onto her left-hand side. It's not as clinical as she'd have liked, looking to hook that back. Gets another crack at it, and unfortunately shies away, and Hellenic will hold on to that lead they currently have. Not too much time remaining, about 7:20 odd to go. And a great showing of skill, however, unable to get away with it. An intercept as Hellenic are back up now. through Jones. Still take it up. That looks like Gray into the circle. She's got a vicious shot on. Unfortunately, doesn't quite meet it as well as she'd have liked, and won't really come off for Hellenic. This game has opened up really since those 2 goals. And for Hellenic, the only frustration would have been how long it took for Aizal. Beautiful save and goal, and what a great effort by the lady in goal for Waizal. Siziba diving to her left hand side, was under all sorts of trouble and keeping her side in it, if you may call it that. And there still are just under 6 minutes to go on the stadium clock. Yep. Great display of skill shown inside out and laying it off for her mate to run onto it, but just putting a little too much on it, a little too much muscle, a tad much more than she'd have liked to have kept that within reach. They've got to pull more numbers up the park, Waizal. I mean, you are 2-0 down, and the result couldn't get any worse, and not doing the meter, so going to get punished for it. Waizal with a golden opportunity to spark a bit of a scare, a comeback, as they do get set piece opportunity. Short corner going the way of Waizal. Chibanda to feed that in, and an early break, so Hellenic will be -1. Oh, I beg your pardon. So will they go to the same variation? Kind of 4 castles, 4 castles, I beg your pardon, around the park, and then just 1 outside the moat, if you may call it, and working so well. She needs to get that away. Had done a phenomenal job for Waizal, taming that attempt, and Hellenic doing well defensively, getting up well. Now to the left-hand side now. Oh, toying with a defender there. However, only momentarily, as she's turned on over, looking to work her way back in field, and a great little run. Been a real fan of the ladies on the outside for Waizal today. They have shown real promising signs throughout this encounter. They've been starved of possession, however, when they have gotten it, have made some good impact. And then just not pouring enough numbers in and around that circle, as Hellenic may get another entry and looking to flick that off. And will they get the goal across the face? Desperate defences. Getting back up. I think that opportunity, well, they get a short corner late on here. Hellenic, 1:99 to go. They'll want to put this one away, Hellenic, and put it to bed really. Crackdown, or defenders making their way up early on. Still under a bit of advantage. Into that circle yet again, and there's a trouble it seems. An injured lady, hoping she'll be alright on her feet, which is always a promising sign. Well, tough in Marondera it seems. Wiesel now looking to get themselves out of there. I think they, however, today will run out of time. It was a very valiant effort earlier on in their attempt to also falter Hellenic's advances in this tournament. However, proving a little too strong. Massive, massive attacking prowess by Hellenic earlier on. Must apologize. Did title Huang as Jones initially. Do apologize for that. Nonetheless, that'll be smiles within the blue camp as Hellenic manage to turn their fortunes around after that treacherous start, if you may call it that, where they just attacked the entire time and just couldn't get it away. Got a little bit frustrating. However, once that first goal came, the second followed shortly, and that was the ball game. 2-0 in favour of the Hellenic side, who'll be happy with the result. For Wiesel, not quite what they would have wanted. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us live here on Rising Stars, bringing you Golden and Silver Girls action. Coming your way live here from Chizzy Senior School. We'll catch you for the start of our next encounter. Must win for either side.